to the One Show with Matt Baker.
And Alex Jones. Now, there are two ways to look at Christmas.
Yes.
You can see it as a magical few days, look, when the entire family lovingly come together to share gifts, a nice bit of food, just spend precious time together.
Or, if you're more Scrooge-like, you can see it as a grueling few days when the entire family awkwardly come together to argue, fight a bit, and probably eat and drink way, way too much.
Well, that is the theme of the latest film from our two guests tonight. It's called Surviving Christmas with the Relatives. So what we've done is we've asked what your favourite survival tips are, and here's a few just to get us started.
We're always fighting over the pigs and blankets and things. We love them. Board games come out later on, so we're always aggressive over that.
Maybe just don't drink too much. Keep it sensible.
Just try to enjoy yourselves and have a bit of a tipple or a couple of tipples.
Well, we'll have more tips, not tipples, from viewers later on. Don't drink too much, what?
Shall we see what our guests think? Shall we do
Yes,
that?
yes.
Let's welcome Sally Phillips and Ronnie Ann Corner. Good evening. Hello to you both.
Loving animal print.
Look at us, we look like we've just come out safari.
I know, I should have worn a safari suit.
The side down.
Tonight. So, yeah, survival tips for Christmas.
Can I just say how well you're presenting, Matt?
Yes.
It's really very... I know it's a lot harder than it looks.
You often do sit here when I'm not
I
here.
do, yeah.
It's very odd having Sally there in a guest position.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit strange. We've been asked a question as well.
Yes, question, yes. Pay attention, question.
Survival tips.
Survival tips with the relatives. What about not inviting them? Is that...
Ronnie.
Sorry, no, I didn't mean that. Clearly. Bar humbug, curmudgeon. No, obviously you've got to invite your relatives, haven't you?
Yeah.
I've always wanted to... A friend of mine's family do fart tennis over the Christmas time, where they eat the Brussels sprouts and then you score.
See, Brussels sprouts already, I know it's a cliche, to me, they are the grapes of the devil.
Yeah.
The Brussels sprouts, the evil... Why do we insist on eating things that we have no appeal to us for the entire rest of the year?
Matt's got a great recipe. I mean, change it up a bit.
Well, actually, it's in the Country Farm Christmas special. So we don't want to give too much away. But yes, you can braise.
Oh, sorry,
braise
it's in the Country Farm special.
Yeah, it is. Do a whole item, about 4 minutes long. No, it's fine.
Basically, if you boil anything in beer, it tastes better.
It tastes much better. I mean, sort of turkey and cranberry sauce, when would you ever do that? That's like posh hot chicken and jam. I mean, there's... What's that about? Why do we...
Yeah.
Anyway,
we are going to ask you at home, please, for your tips, if you've got any we haven't mentioned, and we'll read some during the show tonight.
Yeah, Ronnie might struggle with this next one, actually, because one of the biggest problems this year could be satisfying everyone's different requirements around the Christmas dinner table, as more and more people ditch the turkey in favour of a vegan diet.
Cafe owner Tony Gallardi feels so passionate about his vegan lifestyle that he's put hundreds of pounds into 2 billboards promoting a meat-free message.
But those who support the meat industry, such as local butcher John Howarth, would like their say too. So here it is.
I've been vegan for 34 years. I would like everybody in the world to be vegan. I make no qualms about that. But the reason I put the billboards up was to make people aware of their food choices and where it came from. I think the more aware of that we are, the more choices we can make. Because eating red meat, and especially processed meat, is really quite damaging for us all. It's a very common statement that people make: who's he telling me what to do? It's my choice what to eat and what not to eat. But coronary heart disease is one of the biggest killers of our time. And the more processed meats we eat, the more at risk we are. So just think about reducing the amount you eat. It will do you a lot of favours.
I've been a butcher for 37 years. I can say with honesty that I've never had a day's illness due to eating red meat. I'm very, very fit. And I think that I'm like this due to a balanced diet. There's lots of benefits to eating red meat. Protein, there's minerals, there's iron, vitamin B12. These things are essential for a healthy diet, and we should all continue eating it.
The World Health Organization have labelled bacon, ham, sausages as a level 1 carcinogen. We can save 6,000 lives every year in this country alone and save the NHS something in the order of £700 million every single year, just by reducing, not cutting out meat, just by reducing it.
Well, I'm no scientist, of course. However, I have eaten sausage all my life. If you eat them every day of the week, I'm sure they probably will have some effect, but eat them moderately, I don't see that there's a problem.
I've cut down on red meat slightly. We do still have it, but I do sometimes replace it with things like Quorn.
I'm 75 years of age and I've been eating red meat all my life. It's done me no harm and I will continue to eat red meat.
I am iron deficient, and whenever I go to doctor and doctor says that you should eat more red meat.
One idea that's been put forward is to introduce a meat tax. Now, I think that's a really good idea, although controversial, because that would help people reduce the amount of processed meat they eat, which can only be a good thing. There would be an effect on the economy, and farmers would need to diversify. Is instead of breeding animals, grow plants.
I can't see that meat tax is going to be a popular choice for people. Meat's expensive as it is. Making it more expensive will only discourage people. These humble sausages would raise by 79%. This would take them from £3.37 to over £6. That's an eye-watering rise. It's completely wrong.
I think a meat tax is an absolutely horrendous idea. I mean, young children need meat. Even though I may choose not to eat too much meat now that I'm grown, a tax would really just make the poorer families really suffer.
I think we're paying enough out for everything as it is, and it's a personal choice whether we eat meat or not.
It helped to reduce the consumption of it. I think people eat too many burgers and junk food, and it helped the environment generally.
One of the dangers is that we fall behind the rest of the world. European countries are considering a meat tax, and even countries as far away as China is advising all its population to eat less than half the meat they eat. One of the advantages for our country, if we eat less processed and red meat, is that it will help our environment, because animal agriculture is the greatest contributor to climate change, is primarily the amount of methane that cattle emit.
We could call it flatulence, I suppose. From a personal point of view, if I eat meat, I don't tend to suffer with methane release. It's only when you happen to eat lots of vegetables. In my reckoning, there's a lot more people on this planet than there is cows. And if everybody should turn to a vegetable diet, there's going to be a whole lot more methane released.
It's almost Christmas and people are thinking about turkeys now. Well, here's a thought. Think about something else. You can get plant-based versions of pigs in blankets. You can get joints of ham and beef. They're just as tasty, better for your health, better for the environment, and of course, better for the animals. Give it a try.
I've never actually tried or would want to try anything fake. And I can tell you something for nothing, I won't be missing out on my pigs in blankets this Christmas. I like plenty of them.
Well, Ronnie, we just touched on the fact there during that film that you were a vegetarian for 7 years.
I was a vegetarian for 7 years,
no
and then I got lured in. But I've got a friend of mine who was a vegetarian for 26 years, and then suddenly one evening said, I'm really bored, went to have fish and chips, and then within a week, literally people were locking up their cats because he was a danger. Every time I saw him, he had feathers or a paw sticking out. He just became this phenomenal carnivore within a week and a half after being a vegetarian for a couple of decades. It was like, whoa there.
One extreme to the other. Were you trying to cut down? Although we're having beef burritos for tea, so, you know, flaky.
That's the way. Anyway, now, without giving too much away, let's talk about your new film. It's called Surviving Christmas with the Relatives. A turkey called Gobbles features quite heavily in the proceedings. Let's have a little look.
Dad! Miriam's here.
What? Are all these people?
You don't have to like someone just because you're related to them.
God, I hate Christmas.
Oh! Ow! Gobbles.
This is the moment of truth.
Oh, God, you're being ridiculous. We just don't need them, right?
Dan, hurry!
You're making it worse. You're literally fanning the flames.
Now, Sally, they are describing this film as Fatal Attraction meets Downton Abbey, which is a weird combination. Well, it's the
I think I would say they're badly describing it as Fatal Abbey meets...
Yes.
Well, I can't even imagine what Fatal Abbey meets...
No, I know.
Well, like a bunny being boiled in a ballroom, perhaps.
It's the same man who wrote Fatal Attraction, wrote and directed this film,
The writer
isn't it?
and director of Fatal Attraction is the writer.
So
and
is that
director,
not quite the description?
My mind boggles when you say Fatal Attraction meets Downton Abbey, imagining Glenn Close sort of stabbing things and coming out of the bath and Maggie Smith.
Yeah, that's in the
horrified.
sequel.
So how would you describe it then? And what do you want to say about the premise?
The reason he probably says Downton Abbey is that it's, you know, if you imagine the great-grandchildren of the Downton Abbey family, what would be happening now?
Yeah.
They'd be struggling to keep the stately home going, and the family would, all the marriages would be bust. And yeah,
it's a bit of a sort of vignettes of struggles with, you know, up and down points of sort of struggle.
Yeah.
It's that enforced thing at Christmas. It's a sort of enforced enjoyment. Everybody's got to come together, and it's quite loaded. It's, you know, it's quite sort of...
It's people trying to have your idyllic Christmas with a massive turkey and everyone involved, and it all just is a bit rubbish.
And it all
I think we can
apart.
identify with that. I can identify with that. Yeah.
Well, the cast. I mean, the cast
very
is
good.
incredible. So you've got Gemma Whelan here. You've got Jolie Richardson's in
Jolie's
as well.
amazing.
Yeah, Patricia Hodge.
Oh,
James
Hodgelicious.
Hodgelicious.
Yeah.
She's got to be called Hodgelicious. She's... Oh.
And you were obviously you were all there to create these kind of family scenes then at the same time. So it must have been pretty raucous.
Strangely, I got cast as some sort of strange, sad aunt character who drinks a bit too much. It's like the weirdest casting against type. I don't know how they came up with that, but who knows. But we were the sort of comedy cameos.
Yes.
Bitter divorcee, no relation to my own life at all, as you know.
But it looks kind of like a family film in the poster, doesn't it? But there are a few adult themes, maybe we should say.
Yes. Yeah, there are.
Yeah, it's a 15, isn't it?
I think there's that thing where...
yeah, we can't go and see it with... It's far too young.
Far too young.
Yeah, it was good fun anyway. It was good fun to make, and
Yeah,
it's
it was-
nice to have a
And a lovely, lovely cast. And the cast actually got on very well. There was a great sort of synergy between
There was a
us
bit
all,
of
and,
impro. We were allowed a bit of impro, and I
Yes.
impro'd making a pass at you, and you impro'd turning me down.
Yes, that was because that's happened a few times before, so we knew what to do. No, we got on. We impro'd we love improing together,
And it was nice because I
actually
didn't think they
it
were
was really
asking
special.
if we'd worked together before, and I've known you 25 years,
Yeah.
but I don't think we have.
No, I
And
don't think we
you've got
sadly
on
we
so
haven't.
well that you've now written... Well, you're in the process of writing a film, but you're very behind, is that right?
We're quite
very behind.
Lazy. But we
Lazy and-
have got a deadline, and it does need to happen.
She's lazy, I'm untalented. It's a fantastic combination. It's going to go really well. No. We are on the case,
But we
and
are
we're
kind
doing
of
the
in
film.
sync.
And now we're dressing similar
We're dressing
together.
similarly, yeah.
And would you like to say anything about this film that you're writing together, or do you want to keep that under wraps?
No, we will. It's about
Yes.
dogs. It's got dogs.
It's about dogs. And actually, we were originally asked to sort of punch it up and put more gags in an existing script, and then we sort of decided to sort of
start
you know,
again.
Start again, really. And to start, and we don't. So it's
We
been
don't
fantastic.
own dogs, so I've been borrowing dogs. You've got dogs, haven't you?
do
We've
have,
been
yes,
borrowing dogs.
I was brought up by spaniels, literally.
Yeah.
I literally was by cocker spaniels. So I just.
And that is true.
Well, come back and tell us about it.
We got
It's in production in April, isn't it? Come
Yes.
on.
Yeah, it's got to
Is
get a
it?
move on. Yeah.
Well, if you
can
need any
see-
help, I'm happy to come and help you.
Oh
if you
yes,
need
Matt
any
can
help.
advise.
On the dog front.
You can see Sally and Ronnie in Surviving Christmas with the Relatives. It's out now.
Now then, we said to Alex Riley to get a few more Christmas survival tips from the streets of Sheffield. This is what he turned up with.
For many of us, Christmas is a time for family. But what if that family makes you want to tear down the tinsel and break down your baubles? I'm in Sheffield to find out what riles people about their relatives and find out how people survive a family-filled festive period. Bit of Christmas bickering, it's traditional, isn't it?
No.
Never.
Oh, yes,
Get on
fine.
okay together?
Yes, we do, yeah.
All the time?
All the Yorkshire people are friendly.
We get on very well with our family.
We do, yeah. We're sisters.
Like when I go back home, I have to share a room with my sibling, which isn't, when you're used to being by yourself all the time.
So you're at each other's throats the whole time?
And then when you fall out, you haven't got anywhere to go because you share a room, so you have to be next to each other.
What is the thing that you're most worried about?
I don't leave her alone with my mom. One-on-one time with the mom is a bad recipe.
Have you had any bad experiences?
Father-in-law.
What was he like?
He was falling out with everybody.
How
He couldn't win
embarrassing.
at cards.
And you cope?
We sent him out of room.
Do you play games?
I do.
Why do you want to play games?
I hate games. Monopoly is banned in our family house.
Really?
It's usually arguments about Trivial Pursuit. Well, it's competitive.
Yeah.
It involves money, and my mother picked it up, chucked it in the bin. Did the board get thrown across the room once?
Your Uncle Kevin once sort of attacked me.
What had you done in Trivial Pursuit that caused somebody to attack you?
I'd won him.
Well, that can hurt.
Yes.
Any arguments? Any...
Unless we do a quiz, everyone does the questions, but people have stopped attending our Christmas parties because there's been like arguments over it. So like, my brother-in-law doesn't come anymore.
Any advice then for people who have a bit of a rocky time? Yeah.
If you've got something to say and you don't see each other as much around Christmas, you know, just keep it to yourself.
Life's too short for arguments. At the end of the day, remember it's Christmas. Be nice, and it's not forever. It's just a day. It's just the day.
Well, thank you for all of your Christmas survival tips that you've been sending in.
Yeah. Should we read a few?
Yeah, go on.
These came in on Twitter. Kay says, get as much preparation of meat and vegetables as you can done in the week before Christmas to leave as little as possible to do on the day itself, particularly stuffing and pigs in blankets, which can be done up to 2 weeks in advance.
Let's not go back there. Pigs and blankets earlier on. Anyway, Jed, this is a bit weird. Jed never buys his partner a Christmas present because it gets harder every year, so he just doesn't bother.
That would end in divorce.
Is that an ex-partner now?
Yeah, exactly.
That's very strange. Maybe try this year, Jed, see what happens.
Yeah, all right.
Anyway, for the first time in One Show history, we interrupt this show with a commercial break. Later on this month, the Advertising Standards Authority hope to call an end to gender stereotyping in adverts.
So, Oxo mums and milk tray men, beware, because your days are numbered.
Chocolate never tasted before.
You may think we've come a long way since sexual stereotypes were commonplace in advertising, when a woman's role was to sell chocolate. So why didn't dads pick up shopping from Iceland in the noughties?
That's why mums go to Iceland.
And why was a brother more adventurous than his sister in 2013? 2 years ago, the Advertising Standards Authority decided it was time to intervene, prompted in part by the high number of complaints over the way a woman was portrayed in this ad for a weight loss product.
They're proposing a new rule that says advertising should not include gender stereotypes that cause harm or serious widespread offence. So, how to decide which ads get banned?
It's all you have to do.
One of the best-remembered ads for Shake and Vac shows a woman excitedly singing and dancing as she cleans her carpet. 40 years on, what does the star think of it now?
No, it was off the ball. It was a really fun advert, and I think it's still fun. I think it's just a lovely piece of nonsense. I enjoyed doing it, and people loved it. I mean, it ran for years. It's not a serious depiction of a housewife.
Do you think that the ASA are making too much of this whole idea of gender stereotyping?
Well, it seems to me that you won't be able to advertise anything soon without it upsetting somebody.
But do the public agree?
In that sense, I think that's fun. But then I can see how it's damaging as well.
It's quite a bit old school.
Nowadays, everything's much more equal.
I think it's a bit of fun, but you know, I would think again, why is it always the woman that's vacuuming?
The Advertising Standards Authority interviewed men and women from across the UK and found that people did think advertising impacted attitudes and behaviour, and the way gender roles were portrayed could limit future aspirations. I've come to the Museum of Brands to discuss the proposed new guidelines, which include avoiding contrasting adventurous men with dainty women or showing a man with his feet up and a woman solely responsible for cleaning. Ella Smiley is from the ASA. And Rachel Pashley works for an advertiser and specialises in female insight. First, I want to know what constitutes harmful stereotyping.
Harm is a really big word to use.
There are some very real-world inequalities and harms around things like the gender pay gap and the lack of women in engineering careers, which have the potential to be reinforced by very specific kinds of stereotypes which put people into boxes and limit their perceptions of what they can do.
And here's an ad predicting very different futures, depending on whether you're a girl or a boy, a ballet dancer or an engineer.
So is this the type of advert that you'd be looking to say, actually, that needs to be banned?
Under the new guidelines that we've proposed, it might be a problem to show those kind of different stereotypical roles or characteristics. The evidence tells us that they tend to reinforce each other where you contrast stereotypes like that.
There are people watching this who will think, oh, come on, we're getting a bit serious about it.
Well, from our research, we saw that nearly 2/3 of women were influenced to either be more ambitious or more assertive purely through seeing powerful on-screen depictions of women.
In 2012, the ASA approved this ad showing a mum run ragged, preparing for a family Christmas.
How do you think that impacts us as a society?
The thing about that is it's normalising the fact that domestic chores are the province of women.
It's not a problem to show a woman doing housework or a woman doing shopping. It could be problematic for an ad like that to suggest that the woman is the only one that ever does the cooking and the man has spent the day not doing anything to help around the home and then expects dinner to be cooked for him.
What's for tea, love?
But fans of the Shake and Vac ad can sleep easy.
It doesn't suggest that that woman is the only person in her home that does the housework. It's unlikely that that would be problematic. The ASA definitely isn't the fun police.
Nevertheless, advertisers will have to think harder about how they represent people. But whilst gender stereotyping may soon be a thing of the past,
Nobody's cracking down on catchy jingles. Perhaps they should.
Do the Shake and Vac and put the freshness back.
All my earrings from
Very catchy, isn't it?
Yeah.
That'll be in your head all the way home. Now, sexism in adverts, of course, is nothing new, and we've got some humdingers from the 50s and 60s, from the States mainly, for you to have a look at and then fill in the blanks. Okay?
Right, okay.
Tell us what the missing words might be.
Nothing like putting us on
Yeah.
the spot.
We're going to start with a cigarette advert. This is from 1969, promoting cigarettes in an American magazine. So there you are, look. Blow in her face and she'll...
Grow a patchy white beard.
Yeah.
Die younger.
Die younger. Well, let's reveal it. And the answer is blow in her face and she'll follow you anywhere. Dear me.
Oh, hang on. It gets worse. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Alco Aluminium in 1953, they were advertising this new screw top, right, for wine. This was in magazines in the US, OK? So that's the picture. You mean a blank question mark.
You mean a tomato ketchup bottle is really my son? No. I mean, that's it's bizarre. Look at her face.
She's doing that. I'm not going to empty my mind on this show.
Go on, let's reveal it.
Go on then. Yeah, reveal it then. You mean a woman can open it?
It's unbelievable.
But you know what? That is a great use for men, opening jars and bottles and things.
We're now going to 19...
I'm glad that Salah's adopted the new PC approach to everything.
Let's have a look at an advert now from 1953.
Oh.
This for another US magazine. This was at Christmas, obviously a Hoover advert as well. Christmas morning, something with a Hoover.
Christmas morning, murder him with a Hoover.
Yeah.
She's planning.
Correct.
She's planning literally how to dispose of the body.
She's reading poetry with a Hoover.
Yeah. Christmas morning, something with a Hoover. The answer is Christmas morning, she'll be happier with a Hoover.
But hang on, can we see the small print? Christmas morning and forever after, she'll be happier with a Hoover.
Now look at this, and also give her a Hoover, and you give her the best. Yeah,
lovely. All right, last one. This was a British advert for Kenwood food mixer back in 1961. The chef does everything but cook. blank blank.
I mean, that picture, that graphic makes him look like half a sewing machine. It's such a strange...
Yeah.
He looks like a sort of Narnian hybrid of half domestic appliance, half...
Now, this is probably the worst one. Go on.
What
Let's
does
have
the
a look.
Mixer have to say? The chef does everything but cook. That's what wives are for. Well.
Yeah. Great.
And let's leave it there, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to leave it there. Woo! Last night we unveiled the 5 nominees for the greatest sporting moment of the year, with the winner being announced live at the BBC Sports Personality of the Year ceremony on the 16th of December.
Yes, for every televised awards ceremony, there are many more that happen without us even knowing about them, but are just as important to the winners, and Arthur has been to one of them.
Thank you very much. Hey, never mind your Oscars, your Emmys, your BAFTAs. I've got a ticket for the Highways Awards.
And here they all are, construction companies and transport groups from around the UK, all certain they'll win trophies for their best road improvements. In fact, it's hard to find anyone who thinks they've lost.
It'll be great for the business, and it'll be an excuse for a party in London.
Are you excited?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Quietly confident but very nervous. They're the heartbeat of the industry. We're an independent body set up to reward excellence. These people here are making our roads more reliable and more efficient.
The entries include technology to 3D map the maze of piping beneath the road, circular potholes that bond better to the road and supposedly make the repairs last forever, and a quick way to bury cable and speed things up for people waiting for broadband.
We've had over 100 nominees this year. That's been whittled down to 40 finalists and 13 winners.
And who decides the winners?
The judges are an independent panel of experts representing all the sectors in the industry.
Lots of chances to bump into rivals and subtly find out what they're up to. I'm going to sneak in to find the trophies.
And here they are, look. Road markings of the year, maintenance efficiency. Oh, the excitement is palpable.
So, let's find a few contenders.
Now, I think of traffic cones as what students have in their bedroom, but actually, a new type of traffic cone is up for an award tonight in the new technology section.
When cones are knocked over, it can be hours before help arrives, but not with this beacon, the Smart Taper. It sends the patrol crew an instant alert, so they're on the scene in minutes. But the moment has come. It's awards time.
And the winner is City of London Corporation.
Oh look, the people I met earlier. Another entry that's caught my eye gives some bright news to people who hate driving at night. It's a solar-powered cat's eye called the Solar Light. It increases visibility tenfold to 900 metres.
So you're getting, rather than 3.2 seconds to react at 60 miles an hour, you're getting essentially 32 seconds. You know, these are particularly useful for areas of roads that are maybe like old-style roads, so they're not very well lit.
Everyone's getting more and more excited. The evening's moving up a gear.
And people whose names haven't been called are getting worried.
Are you feeling a bit on the edge of your chair?
Do you know what? Every minute, tension mounts.
I'm really excited though.
Will the new traffic cone beacon get the award? It's time for the new technology one.
So who'll drive home with the gong?
The winner of the award for best use of new technology goes to SNC Lavalins, Atkins Business.
Bad luck for Smart Taper, but the man representing them tonight is putting on a bravish face.
I'm not the sort of person that has a begrudge about it, but yeah, we should have won.
The winners, who came up with the radar detection system for stranded cars, are happy to disagree. And now for Road Marking Project of the Year. Will it be cat's eyes? Against them, lay-bys and emergency refuge centres on hard shoulders.
I'm delighted to announce that the winner of this year's award is, and this is a mouthful, WJ Group, Highways England, Clearview Intelligence.
It might be a joint win, but they did it.
Hey, you won!
We did, yeah. We're really pleased.
Did you have an early night?
No, definitely not an early night.
Well, I've learnt a lot from these awards. I've never been behind the wheel of a car myself, but if I ever were, I'd be a lot happier after tonight.
Tarmac?
Yes.
Oh, no, it was Arthur. Thanks, Arthur.
Kate says, the secret to great sprouts is some sugar when boiling them, not ale, Matt.
Oh. Jury's out. Just Sunday roast with some crackers, says Sandra. What's so stressful about it all? Jan says, go for a bracing walk and take a deep breath.
That's a good idea.